For several years and millions of dollars, the city of LA plans to shut down one of its alternative emergency response programs. This therapeutic van program was designed to cut back on police and firefighters being sent to handle some nonviolent mental health situations. But it hasn't had the impact promised years ago by former Mayor Eric Garcetti. Our investigative reporter Eric Leonard has been following the trouble with the program for several years and joins us live with an update. Eric.
Hi, Annabelle. Well, this is one of those programs announced this summer after the summer of protests that followed the murder of George Floyd. LA's elected leader says this pilot program would send clinical workers instead of police officers or paramedics to some calls to try to lessen the chance that a street encounter would escalate into violence. As we've reported for the last few years, this program ran into bureaucratic delays right away. And now, nearly 3 years later, the fire department says it really hasn't helped some of the problems it was supposed to address. Announced by former LA Mayor Eric Garcetti in October 2020, the Therapeutic Van pilot project was initially aimed at reducing the number of police dispatches to mental health emergencies. 5 vans were to be based at fire stations, staffed by clinicians from the County Department of Mental Health. But by the time these vans began responding to calls more than a year later, their role had shifted. They were used to try to relieve the need for LA Fire Department paramedics on some mental health emergencies. And now, this new assessment of the program by the fire department says it wasn't worth it. It says the idea is sound in theory, but in practice, the results of the pilot have demonstrated rarely are mental health crisis patients devoid of medical, violence, or substance abuse issues, meaning paramedics and sometimes police had to be sent anyway. The report says this model had a negligible impact on call volume reduction. That's important because the fire department was already struggling to hire and train enough paramedics, and this van program was supposed to be a limited relief valve.
Los Angeles Fire Department is currently facing a significant shortage of paramedics.
This is the assistant fire chief who wrote the report and recommended the program get shut down at the end of June. He was at today's public fire department oversight meeting. We first asked to interview him last week and tried again today to ask about the van program, but we were blocked by a fire department spokesperson who wouldn't let us ask any questions on camera. So this pilot program cost the city of LA's taxpayers at least $4 million. Several officials tell us the cost was actually much higher because that doesn't include paying firefighter drivers. Now, the county of Los Angeles also spent a lot on its end of the program. It says it can't comment on whether or not it will continue in some form. We should also note the city of LA is working on a bunch of other alternative response programs, some of which have had much more success, including a new group of unarmed responders who may begin going to calls in the next few weeks. Live in the newsroom, I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.